right, welcome to the next part in my series, which is the vetting stage for 3 months to 6 months. In this stage may be a little bit easier because the guys who were not for you have already left in the first 3 months, which is similar to like an interview. I'm not an interview, but at a job, they give you a 90-day probation. They let people go who are not doing what they need to do on the job, right? So that's what you're essentially doing. I'm not saying you're treating men like employees. I'm just trying to give the analogy. Now, again, I'm not trying to give you some 30-day rule before having sex or 90-day rule, or I'm telling you to not have sex until marriage. And I'm saying that because you can prevent the blinders from having an emotional tie, which some people call soul ties. This is very real. When men put their seed in you, whatever spirit that they have going on in them can go into you. And if they do not have a good spirit, whatever other predator of a man is out there, he's gonna smell that scent, not like the actual seed of that man's, the scent of that man's seed, but spiritually, he's gonna smell that insecurity on you or whatever that other predator put on you. Similar to like a dog marking his territory. I don't want to go too deep in it because sometimes it's gonna go over people's head, but that is very serious. Also, if a person is not going to, if you're not going to be with this person or be in a committed relationship or be married, why would you want this many men who do not care about you to impart their seed in you? Okay. Also, a lot of things can go along with someone imparting their seed, especially if you're not careful wrapping up, if you're not on any type of birth control, anything like that. Now, you're grown at this point if you're watching, so you should know about that. But I'm saying I think you should wait to marriage. Most women can go a long time without having it anyway, until after they get it, and it's like addictive. But most women can, particularly, they can wait longer. So I'm pretty sure, lady, you can wait a year, because that's the point where the man should be proposing. 18 months at the most. If you're like in your early 20s, maybe 2 years you want to wait, because men have to get a chance to, get his job going, get a career going, and get established. Now for me, my husband proposed in, 14 months maybe? Maybe it was 14 months. Again, that was around, I was 22 at the time. After that, I asked for us to be engaged for a year because I wanted to get married in April, but not the April that was coming up, because then I would only have 3 months. So I'll admit I spent a lot of money on the wedding, and if I could go back and do it, I would do it again. I spent $25,000 on the wedding. So I wanted a whole year to plan for the wedding, and it was beautiful and magnificent and great. But that was $25,000 I could have used otherwise. But that is money that I raised. I raised, and my parents matched that for me to get up to the $25,000. So if I could go back, I would change it. But during that same time, in that same year, my husband was working to get us a home. So yeah. All right, sorry I got sidetracked. Okay, so here we are. Most guys you would have weeded out in the first 3 months. Some guys are good at what they do, and they know how to fake it till they make it. You know that Rihanna song where take a bow, very entertaining. So basically this guy played his role. Most guys can't hold on to that role past 3 months. Most people can't. Like when you go on a job, you can show up, but eventually you're gonna start not doing what you're supposed to do after the 3 months. So the reason why most times you didn't see this part of the guy is because you really weren't around him as much, which means your relationship was long distance. You weren't seeing each other every Saturday, talking every day throughout the week. You were seeing him every blue moon. He seemed great because you only saw each other 5 times, out the 3 months. But no, you need to see him at least. I know people say they go on dates if you go on dates every Saturday, that's 4 times. So you shouldn't be seeing the guy 5 times out of the 3 months. If you go on a date every Saturday, and that is probably about 12 dates you would have went on at this point, and then you're talking in between, so 30 minutes to an hour, Monday through Friday. When you go on a date on Saturday, maybe you don't talk Sunday, who knows? At this point, the fake act would have dropped. He would have eventually showed his true colors, which is why men who can't fake it that long try to woo you so quickly and get in a relationship. They want you to move so quickly so you don't have time to use your intuition. When you don't feel right about something, this is the stage where you can either bring it up or you can move on. So just like in the first 3 months, you can move on. This, you don't have to talk. In the first 3 months, you don't have to talk about it. If your intuition is saying something's wrong with this guy, leave. I've learned from a horrible mistake that I did not follow intuition. And in fact, I had more than intuition. I had a vision, and then it was a very deep vision, and the vision was in real time. And I did not listen, and I regret it. I think I'll go into that vision depending with certain people, only because it's too deep and I don't want it to go over people's head. But I will say this, the vision that I had, which as I said, I have the gift of discernment, and I was given this vision about this person and I ignored it. And if I were to tell you the vision, you would be like, why were you that foolish to ignore it? And then on top of that, I was warned and I ignored the signs. And when I did ignore it, horrible things happened. I'm telling you this because it is imperative that you listen to that intuition, not the second voice that tells you what to do, but the very first instinct, the very first voice that comes to your mind. Even if don't think about it, because sometimes when you think about it, you rationalize in your head, and then that second voice creeps in. Whatever it tells you, leave. This guy is crazy. You need to let it go. Something's not right. Maybe people are going to be telling you this. People who mean you well, listen to them. He's doing something that is like where he's telling you, he's starting to now tell you being insecure, weirdly insecure, telling you you can't look at his phone. Like maybe let's just say, just for an example, you're like, oh, can I make a call to my mom because I lost my phone? Or can I call my phone? I can't find it. And then you grab his phone to make a phone call. If he gets overly crazy, leave. It's not about his privacy. There's something else going on. You don't have time for these headaches. If the guy is, which I do agree, you need to learn to not invade people's space and be trustworthy and things like that, but that wasn't the issue. It's the issue of his behavior in relation to that. If you know that something's not right and say, hey, why did you look at that woman? He goes, you've been insecure. I don't like that you spoke to me like that, or I don't like when you look at people like that. When they start dismissing your feelings, leave. You don't have time for people who can't be in a conversation and you don't know how to properly communicate, but they deflect. You're too grown for that. No deflecting, just let's talk about the issue. That's how grown-ups speak. They don't deflect, they don't roll their eyes, they don't do silent treatments. And yes, sometimes we've done that as adults, but now I'm speaking out of maturity. You're getting older and you don't want that. When someone does it the first time, yes, you can give them some slack and say, hey, I don't like that. Can we speak next time instead of you walking away or getting upset or deflecting or getting too defensive? Can we just first speak about it? And when they deflect again, after you said all of that and still dismiss your feelings, and you're in the 3 to 6 month stage, leave. Especially if you didn't see the signs before. If they're distrustful, you don't give second chances. They're in the first 6 months, leave. You don't have time for that. If you don't know that he's, now if you're insecure, that's one thing. But if you know that he is doing something that seems distrustful, leave. Leave. Bye. And then if the guy is creepish. So if you have children, Do not let a man around your children still during this phase, because you're still getting to know him. If you do let him around your children, it really should be after the 6-month stage, because this stage is where you're getting more serious. Now, at month 3, this is the question that you should ask. Where do you see this relationship? What are we? This is the question you should ask at month 3. If you've been seeing each other probably every weekend on a date, talking throughout the week. Not texting, but verbally talking or seeing each other. So about 30 minutes a day and all of those things. So you got to know him quite a bit. So at this point, you have the right to ask, what are we doing? What is this relationship to you right now? How do you feel about the relationship? Where are we in this stage in our relationship? If his answer is anything along the lines of having fun, relaxing, seeing how things goes, living in the moment, leave. You told him in the beginning you were looking for something serious, and if he has not found out after 12 dates whether he wants to be exclusive or who you are to him, you don't have time for him. You must leave. You're not giving him an ultimatum. You're making the decision to leave. So if a guy were to say that right now, I'm saying, so where are we in a relationship? Tell me, what do you think about us? And he says, I'm just trying to play by ear, seeing how things go, giving it time. And you can ask the question, so what do you mean? Well, I just want to see how it goes. And then I would say, but we've been together 3 months. We've been on 12 dates. You don't have anything that you think about the relationship? I mean, look, I think you're thinking too much about it. Let's just live in a moment. And you can say, well, you know what? I appreciate you being honest and letting me know. But I think that I'll let you go ahead and do the things that you go ahead and do you. And I think this relationship is not for us. Maybe we're on 2 different wavelengths. But I appreciate the 3 months. I appreciate the time. It was a great time. Nice knowing you. Bye. Like, seriously, bye while you're walking out. Leave the relationship. You don't have time for games, sis, especially if you're in your 30s. I'm serious. I'm not telling you something now that I didn't do then. I didn't do this with my boyfriend as far as this particular stage, because obviously we got married. But I asked those questions. And I brought up, these things. Now, my husband and I were exclusive. He wasn't dating anyone, or at least, he said he was. I was getting his time. So, yeah. He asked, for us to be boyfriend and girlfriend sooner. So, but I made it clear in them 3 months. Hey, where do you see us? Like, I asked those questions, and if he said those answers, I would be leaving. Now, I'll get more into our conversation of what did happen between my husband and I as we got closer to the 9-month mark, or actually close to the year mark. So, this is the time that you leave a relationship, when he shows his true colors, or when he's not showing that he wants to be exclusive with you. This is what you do in the 3 months. You would have wasted only the 90 days with him, and then that was it. And then you'd be like, thank goodness I didn't give him any. See, you didn't give him any, right? All right, so you're done with the 3 months. Most likely 4 months goes by, 5 months. He may show his true colors. 6 months. All right. Anytime he shows his true colors, or he won't resolve conflict like an adult, or you realize the relationship is not healthy in how you resolve conflict because there's physical interaction going on, leave. You don't give second chances on these things, especially during this stage. So, on any deal breakers, any standards, you don't really give leadway in this. You give leadway for small things. Deal breakers, no. Standards, depends on the standard. If the standard is just he raised his voice, you can say, don't speak to me that way, I do not like it. But when he gets physical, when he's doing anything like he's doing that manipulation, I don't even think you should say, I don't like manipulation. You should leave. Because when a guy's manipulating you, he's pretty savvy in his predatory ways, and you don't have time to be sticking around for that. That's a little bit clinical. Clinical help may be needed when it starts to get to that manipulation thing. So, and verbal. That's a no-no. He talks to you like trash? Please. Bye. Raising your voice is one thing. Talking to you like trash? Like, man, you so fat, you so ugly, don't nobody want you anyway. Leave. You don't owe him an explanation. In fact, the only time you say bye is probably through text with this guy. All right, so that's it for this. Now you're down at you're to the 6-month mark, okay? When you're at the 6-month mark, then you're going to say, I think that, then you do that next question. Hey, so where do you see us in a relationship? How do you see us? You can do it at that mark, or you cannot do anything at all. The next time you would say something would be either at the 9 or the 12 months. So you don't do it again. If you did it in the 3-month mark, then you don't necessarily need to do it in the 6-month mark. You can ask subtle questions about, so how do you feel about us? Because that gives him the opportunity to say what reservations he has or what things he needs to work on. He would like for you to work on, and you can say what you would want him to do differently as well. Like, hey, I noticed you don't really like to talk much when you're upset. Like, these are things where you can get to that point, So, you don't have to necessarily say, so how do you feel about the relationship? But you can, at the 6-month mark, you can say, hey, I want to talk to you about, a few things that I want to get off my chest. So if those are the things, like you have reservations about the relationship before it goes further, you want to tell him how you feel. Not that you have reservations about the relationship, but those things that which you have reservations. Hey, it makes me sad when you give me a silent treatment, or when you do this and you do that. At this point, after you say this in the 6th month, at this point on, change needs to be made. If no change is made, it's not going to be the very first time, but once the person makes the habit of doing those things that you ask, change should be made. Because if you say, hey, I like for us to communicate without silent treatments, raising our voice, maybe you walking away, even if you need to go for a walk. At the 6-month stage, if you make comments like that, or if he says, I don't like when you go out with your friend clubbing late at night. When people are saying these things that are valid things to say, you should take into account and want to do better. Now, if someone's trying to control you, that's a different thing. But at the 6-month stage is where you're getting your reservations out. You don't bring up the future or bring up marriage at this point. You do not do that, because you already established what they want at the 3-month mark. And if they didn't want a relationship that's serious, then they're gone. If they do, they're still here. At 6 months, you get your reservations out because you want to have a healthy relationship preparing for marriage. All right, so that's it for this stage. Now it's time for 6 months on, and this is going to be the part where you're getting actually prepared for the next stage in both of your lives. Thanks for watching.